My wife told me, "I married my boss. You're pathetic. Enjoy your loneliness," claiming I failed her emotionally to justify her affair and abandonment. I am 32 years old, and I am a mechanical engineer at a manufacturing plant. I earn around $78,000 a year. I am not a millionaire, but I live comfortably. I bought my house at 27 before meeting my ex-wife. I drive a fully paid-off Toyota Tika truck. I have always been careful with money. My father taught me from a young age to save first and spend later. I met Mariana, 29 years old, about 3 years ago at a barbecue hosted by my friend Pablo. She worked as a customer service representative at an insurance office in the city center, earning around $28,000. But what was most striking was her beauty. She was stunning, one of those people who seem unattainable. She had dark hair, was always impeccable, with makeup as if for a photo shoot. From the first moment, she completely captivated me. Now, looking back, I should have noticed the signs from the first day. On our first formal date, she forgot her wallet, and I ended up paying for a $95 dinner at an elegant restaurant. She ordered the most expensive cut on the menu, plus an appetizer and dessert. When I later kindly mentioned how expensive it was, she dropped a line that should have made me run for the hills. A real man always takes care of his woman. And she said it with a little laugh that I now find unbearable. But back then, I was 29 years old and was not thinking clearly. The outings cost us a fortune. Every date had to be at top-tier restaurants. Mariana wanted new clothes for every occasion, flowers for no reason, and for me to pay for her gas when she came to see me. I calculated that I spent between $300 and $400 a month just on dates. My friends joked that I was completely whipped, but I thought I was just being a good boyfriend. We got married after about 20 months of dating. The wedding cost me $19,500. Mariana wanted a dream celebration, and every conversation revolved around adding something more. The flowers went from $800 to $1,200, the DJ from a basic package to a premium one. When I suggested cutting costs, she would cry and say that I did not want to see her happy, that this was every woman's dream. I ended up paying for everything, including her $1,600 dress that she wore for only 4 hours. After the wedding, Mariana quit her job. She said the 25-minute commute was too stressful and that she wanted to focus on being a good wife, maybe start a family. Sounds nice, does it not? Well, it was not. She did not cook. We ordered takeout 4 to 5 times a week. She did not clean. I would come home from work, and everything was just as I had left it in the morning. She did not do laundry. My work uniforms would pile up until I washed them myself on the weekend. And what did she do all day? Online shopping, $60 nail appointments every 2 weeks, lunches at expensive cafes with equally demanding friends, and Netflix. Our monthly expenses went from $2,800 when I lived alone to nearly $4,200 after we got married. I supported everything while working more than 50 hours a week. About 10 months ago, Mariana got a job at a marketing company called Grupo Avance, earning $35,000. Her boss was Mauricio, 36 years old, who drove a leased Mercedes and thought he was a business guru. Mariana started talking a lot about him. Mauricio says the market is changing. Mauricio thinks I have a lot of potential. Mauricio organized a networking event. I thought she just admired him professionally. How naive I was. In recent months, she would stay late at work and attend team events almost every week. She bought new clothes, started going to the gym with devotion when she used to hate it, and got a new hairstyle. When I complimented her on the changes, she told me she was investing in herself, growing as a person. I thought my wife was becoming more confident and independent. In reality, she was preparing to switch partners. On Tuesday, March 19th, Mariana was supposedly attending a leadership retreat in Atlantic City. She had been talking about the event for weeks. She bought a new wardrobe, got highlights in her hair, and even got a tan. I even helped her pack her bags the previous Sunday. She packed as if she were going on a honeymoon. Elegant dresses, new lingerie, her best jewelry. When I commented that it was a lot for a work conference, she winked at me and said, "You never know who you might meet." I should have guessed it then. Early Tuesday morning, around 2:45 a.m., I received a message. It was from Mariana. I thought she was sending a picture of the hotel or some fancy restaurant, but no. It was an image of Mariana and Mauricio smiling in front of a cheap chapel in Atlantic City called the Chapel of Love. They were holding marriage certificates, and looked like they had won the lottery. She was wearing a white dress I gave her for her birthday. He was wearing a wrinkled shirt, as if he had just woken up in it. The message said, "I married Mauricio. I have been sleeping with him for 6 months. You are a pathetic loser. Your boring personality made it too easy. Enjoy your eternal loneliness." I stared at that photo for half an hour, unable to process what I was seeing. 6 months. Everything made sense. The long nights at the office, the team events, her need to protect her phone as if it held state secrets, the daily makeup even to go to the supermarket, the new underwear that I naively thought was for me. I felt like I had been punched in the gut and my chest had been set on fire at the same time. 3 years of my life, almost $25,000 on the wedding, thousands more to support her while she did not work. And she had been cheating on me for half a year while I worked overtime to finance her lifestyle. After remaining motionless in front of the phone, I replied with a single word, "Understood." And I got to work, because this is where Mariana dug her own grave. She was always a disaster with finances and never paid attention to money management. Whenever a bill appeared, Mariana would hand it to me, saying, "You take care of this boring stuff." She always avoided any financial matters. She said she found it tedious. That is why everything, the house, the bank accounts, the cars, even her credit cards, was in my name. She was just an authorized user on my accounts. That attitude was the biggest mistake of her unfaithful life. At 3:30 in the morning, I had completely dismantled her financial situation. I canceled her 4 credit cards one by one. I changed the passwords for every account she had access to. I removed her as a user from all my services. I also transferred the $7,200 we had in our joint account to my personal savings account. Then, I called Peterson Locksmiths, which operates 24 hours. While I waited, I took screenshots of all the transactions, balances, and legal documents that could support me. The locksmith, a rugged older man named Roy, arrived at 4:20 in the morning in a battered truck. As soon as I told him the reason, he nodded and said with a resigned tone, "Third unfaithful wife this month, son. They never think ahead, do they?" He charged me $180, and by 5:45, he had installed new locks on all the doors. I also changed the garage code and deactivated her remote, just in case. While Roy did his work, I meticulously reviewed the financial records. I found something worse than I had imagined. Mariana had been using our grocery money to buy gifts for Mauricio. There were receipts for expensive perfumes, fancy shirts, and even a $400 watch, all charged to our household expenses card. She had been financing her affair with my money for months. I went back to bed at 6 and slept better than I had in a long time. As painful as the truth was, there was something strangely liberating in discovering it. At about 8:45 in the morning, I was awakened by loud knocking on the front door, as if someone was trying to break it down. Looking through the peephole, I saw 2 visibly annoyed police officers. "Sir, we received several reports of a domestic dispute. Your wife says you have locked her out of her home and have stolen her money and belongings," one of them said. I opened the door and, without losing my composure, showed them a photo from my phone. It was of Mariana's wedding to another man. The image was dated at 2:47 in the morning of that same night. "Officers, she is no longer my wife. She got married a few hours ago to another man." The older officer raised his eyebrows so high they almost disappeared under his cap. The younger one could not hide a slight smile. "She also claims there was financial abuse, theft, and domestic violence," the older one added. I already had everything prepared. I showed them the deed to the house, which I bought in 2019, long before I met her. I showed them account statements confirming she was only an authorized user and bank statements showing everything was in my name. I also assured them that I had not touched her things or acted violently. They asked to see the wedding message, and I sent them the photo with the timestamp. After verifying it, the older officer radioed his dispatch. "Ma'am, this appears to be a civil matter that will have to be resolved through lawyers. We cannot force anyone to allow you access to a property if you have legally married another person," he said firmly. From the radio, Mariana could be heard, completely unhinged, screaming about abuse, theft, and demanding my arrest. The officers asked me if I planned to damage her belongings. I replied that everything would be packed carefully and ready for her to pick up. They warned me not to destroy anything and to keep things calm. Then they left. As soon as they were gone, I started packing all of Mariana's things. It took about 4 hours of work, but the process felt almost therapeutic. Designer clothes that I had paid for, jewelry, books, ornaments, everything that belonged to her was put into boxes and bags and then placed in the garage. At 1:30 in the afternoon, she showed up with her entire entourage. Mauricio came with her, with a face that looked like he would rather be in surgery without anesthesia. Her mother, Patricia, had always looked at me as if I was not good enough for her princess, and her sister, Amanda, who was like an even more unbearable version of Mariana. Mauricio seemed to regret every decision that had led him to my doorstep. He had his Mercedes parked in front of my house as if to make a statement, but he himself kept looking at his phone and avoided eye contact with me. I could see him mentally calculating how much his new wife would cost him. Patricia was the first to attack. "You cannot lock her out of her house. This is illegal. We are going to call the police again." "Go ahead," I replied calmly. "They already came this morning. They said it is a civil matter, considering your daughter married another man." "This is financial abuse," shouted Amanda, pointing her finger at me as if she were a prosecutor. "It was never her money," I answered, pulling out my documents again. "Every account, every card, every property is in my name. Do you want to see the papers?" And then I dropped the bombshell that left Mauricio whiter than a sheet of paper. "By the way, tomorrow I will send the wedding photos to Human Resources at Pinecale Marketing. I am sure Human Resources will be very interested to know that one of their supervisors married a subordinate." As soon as I finished speaking, Mauricio's face turned completely pale. "You would not do that," he muttered. "Oh, would I not? Watch me do it." I had taken the time to investigate. On the Pinecale Marketing website, there is a clear non-fraternization policy between employees and much less between supervisors and subordinates. It was stated as such in the employee handbook. A romantic relationship between different hierarchical levels may result in immediate termination. I checked it twice. Mariana, at that moment, was completely beside herself, crying desperately. Mascara ran down her face, leaving black streaks. "You are ruining my life over a stupid mistake," she whimpered. "Cheating on me for 6 months is a mistake? That is not a slip-up, Mariana. It is a life choice," I replied without raising my voice. I was confused. "I did not know what I wanted," she babbled. "You seemed very sure this morning when you married him," I retorted coldly. Mauricio tried to intervene with a cheap speech about staying calm and talking like adults. I did not let him. "You slept with my wife for 6 months while I covered her expenses. We are beyond civilized chats." That same morning, I had already packed all of Mariana's belongings. It took me several hours, but I left nothing. Clothes, personal products, books, ornaments, everything she had accumulated in those 3 years. I put it in boxes, trash bags, and containers. I gave them a clear deadline. "You have 2 hours to get all this out of my property. After that time, I am leaving it on the street for the trash collection." The best part was watching Mariana try to rent a van to move out. She confidently took out her credit card and swiped it through the reader. Declined. She tried another. Declined. A third. Declined as well, but this time with a panicked expression on her face. Mauricio had to pay the $127 for the rental, and as he did, you could tell his brain was doing quick calculations. How much money was this woman going to cost him? His expression went from annoyance to concern and then to pure terror in less than half a minute. While they loaded the boxes, Patricia threatened me with lawyers, Amanda insulted me, and Mariana would not stop crying or begging for us to talk like civilized people. But the most entertaining part was watching the realization dawn on Mauricio of what he had done. This was no longer an exciting affair. It was his new reality, a wife with no savings, no credit, no income, and no possibility of supporting herself. 2 days later, my lawyer called me with news that made my week. I hired a specialist in contentious divorces, Mr. Roberto, who has a reputation for not being fooled by cheap infidelity excuses. "Your wife is trying to annul the marriage in Atlantic City, saying she was emotionally manipulated," he told me, holding back laughter. "And besides, she is demanding half of your house because, technically, you were still married when she went to the conference." "Can she achieve that?" I asked. "She sent me photos of you with the proof of adultery and bigamy. She is finished. This will be the easiest case of my career." But that was not all. Roberto had also investigated Mauricio, and it turned out that his financial situation was much more precarious than his leased Mercedes suggested. He lived paycheck to paycheck. He had about $18,000 in credit card debt, and his ex-girlfriend had left him because he could not even split the restaurant bill. Through a mutual friend, Daniel, I learned that Mauricio had been bragging to his colleagues about his wealthy girlfriend and how he planned to upgrade his lifestyle thanks to her. He thought Mariana had money because she bought expensive things and talked about investments. He did not know that she charged everything to my cards. My friend Steve, who works in IT, helped me recover messages from Mariana's old phone. When she switched phones last month, the store made a mistake and did not delete the data from the old device. What we found turned my stomach. Mariana was not only cheating on me, but she had been planning everything for months as if it were a covert operation. Among the messages, one could read, "He is so naive. He works overtime to pay for my life while I organize my escape. This is too easy. When are you going to leave him?" Mauricio asked. "As soon as I figure out how to get half of everything from him," she replied. "I have already started moving money from the grocery budget to my secret account. I almost have enough for our new beginning." That secret fund was a bitter discovery. Mariana had opened an account in her name and had been diverting money weekly from the household budget. She would take out between $200 and $300 for shopping, but the actual grocery receipts were around $50 to $120. The rest went to her account. In total, she had stolen more than $8,000 to finance her affair and her escape. I uploaded screenshots of those messages, without the numbers visible, to Facebook, and with that, her victim narrative fell apart. But instead of taking responsibility, she decided to go on the offensive. She started a social media campaign claiming that I had controlled her financially and emotionally manipulated her. Her mother and sister shared her posts and tagged all our acquaintances. Some believed them until they saw the recovered messages. When that happened, Mariana completely lost control. She convinced her father to call my boss to accuse me of harassment and demand that I be fired for being a threat to women. My supervisor, Javier, was already aware of everything. Small town, everyone knows everything. And he told Mariana's father that if he continued to bother him, he would report him for harassment. One morning, at 3 a.m., Mariana tried to force her way into my house. The new security cameras recorded everything clearly. She was screaming that I had stolen her grandmother's ring, when in reality she had sold it 8 months earlier to buy a designer handbag, and I had the pawn shop receipt. Then she filed a police report claiming that I had kidnapped and killed her cat and was holding the body. We never had a cat. I am allergic, and 20 minutes near one is enough to make me break out all over. Animal control called me, and I offered to take an allergy test. I even sent them photos of my medications. Later, she started calling my mother at work, in tears, saying she had made a mistake and that Mauricio had just used her. My mom, who already knew everything, replied calmly, "You should have thought of that before you planned your betrayal for 8 months. Decisions have consequences." She tried to go back to our church, claiming that I had spiritually abused her and that she needed refuge from domestic violence. The same pastor who had counseled us before our wedding asked her to explain how infidelity and bigamy fit into her spiritual path. She did not come back after that. And just when I thought nothing could surprise me anymore, I received a call that defied all logic. Mauricio's mother called me at my office. This woman had the audacity to say, I had to swallow my pride and, according to them, do the right thing by accepting Mariana back just because Mauricio, her brand new husband, was not ready to face a marriage and had made an error in judgment at a complicated time. Did they really expect me to take back a woman who cheated on me for 6 months and who married her boss to avoid the consequences of her actions? Well, if you put it that way, you sound selfish. Marriage is about forgiveness and commitment. And honestly, maybe you were not meeting her emotional needs if she had to seek comfort elsewhere, Mauricio's mother told me without a shred of shame. I hung up without another word and immediately blocked her number. That same week, Mariana sent me a 7-page handwritten letter delivered by her sister. In it, she tried to convince me that everything had been my fault, that I was emotionally distant, that I did not value what I had. She listed, one by one, all the supposed faults I committed as a husband: working too many overtime hours to pay our bills, not planning enough romantic surprises, with what money, I do not know, and not having fought for the relationship when she started to pull away while sleeping with her boss. She closed the letter by demanding that I pay for couples therapy to get through this difficult phase together. I showed the letter to my lawyer, Roberto, who could not help but laugh out loud. He told me that in 20 years of practicing family law, he had never read anything so disconnected from reality. The divorce hearing was on a Thursday morning, and I must say, it surpassed any fantasy of justice I had ever imagined. Mariana appeared in court wearing a white dress, not ivory or cream, pure white, as if she were attending her wedding, not a hearing for adultery after marrying someone else. Even the court reporter did a double take when she walked in. Her lawyer was an inexperienced young man named Brandon who looked like he had passed the bar exam the week before. Nervously, he shuffled through papers aimlessly and asked for postponements while Mariana whispered in his ear, visibly upset. Judge Martinez opened the case and requested the opening statements. Brandon stood up with a speech that seemed to be from an absurd play. "Your Honor, my client suffered a severe emotional breakdown and was coerced into marrying in Atlantic City by her supervisor, Mr. Mauricio Garcia. She was vulnerable, manipulated by someone with power over her employment." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Are you claiming that your client was forced to maintain an extramarital affair for 6 months?" "Not exactly, Your Honor, but that relationship deteriorated her emotional stability, which led to poor decisions." Roberto stood up with a grin from ear to ear. "Your Honor, I have text messages, bank statements, and social media posts spanning 8 months that demonstrate how the defendant meticulously planned this infidelity while diverting household funds to finance her escape." He handed over a thick folder with all the evidence. The judge reviewed the contents for 10 minutes in dead silence. His face went from professional neutrality to evident disgust, finally ending in disbelief. "Mrs. Garcia, or do you prefer your maiden name? You wrote to Mr. Garcia, and I quote, 'I cannot wait to see the look on his stupid face when I take every last penny from him.'" Mariana turned red as a tomato. She stammered, "That was taken out of context." "And what context justifies planning the financial ruin of your husband?" Absolute silence. "And you systematically withdrew money from household accounts under the guise of grocery shopping, while in reality you were funding a secret account, and you used shared funds to buy gifts for your lover without your husband's knowledge." Mariana burst into tears, unable to answer. Judge Martinez took a deep breath and said, "I have seen many despicable acts in this courtroom, but this level of premeditated manipulation is shocking. The divorce is officially granted." Mariana was left with only her personal belongings, her car, a 2020 Honda Civic with $11,000 still owed on it, and nothing else. But the final twist was the best. Since I had paid for her marketing certification program, about $2,200, financially supporting her professional development, the judge ordered her to pay me spousal support, 6 months at a rate of $350 per month. The look of rage and bewilderment on her face when she heard the ruling was simply unforgettable. Outside the courthouse, Patricia began to scream that I was ruining her baby girl's life. Amanda tried to throw her coffee at me, but missed and hit a bystander who yelled at her for assault. Mauricio did not even show up. According to the shouting match between Patricia and his mother, he had called in sick to work and was second-guessing everything. In the parking lot, Mariana had a nervous breakdown. She screamed, sobbed, and hyperventilated. This was not supposed to happen like this. "You ruined everything." Her sister tried to console her. "Calm down. You can stay at my place while you sort your life out. Live in your filthy apartment. It smells like cat litter and failure." Even Amanda was hurt by that comment. 6 months later, karma did its thing. Mauricio was fired from Pinecale Marketing a week after I sent Human Resources the photos of his wedding. My complaint triggered an internal investigation that uncovered multiple inappropriate relationships with other female employees. Mariana was not the first, just the most naive. He lost the Mercedes he was leasing, and now, I learned, he drives a 2008 Honda Accord and lives with his parents. He works a low-paying sales job. Mariana was also fired, officially for creating a toxic work environment, but in reality, no one wanted to work with the woman who caused a popular supervisor's departure. Her secret account was depleted in 6 weeks of trying to maintain her lifestyle. She had to move back to Patricia's house, sleeping in her old room decorated with unicorn wallpaper at 29 years old. Patricia was furious because she had planned to turn that space into a craft workshop, and now she had to endure the daily emotional collapses of her adult daughter. Mariana could not find a job. In a small town, everyone knows each other, and no one wants to hire someone with a reputation for sleeping with bosses and creating workplace drama. But here comes the best part. 3 weeks ago, I received a call. Unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something prompted me to. Hello. On the other end, uncontrollable sobbing. Please, do not hang up, sobbed Mariana's voice. I know I do not deserve to talk to you, but I am desperate. I did not hang up, nor did I respond. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Mauricio used me, and I was so stupid I did not see it. I ruined the best thing that had ever happened to me for a fool who never loved me. I remained silent. I never stopped loving you, even though I know how it sounds after everything I did. I was lost, confused, but my feelings for you were real. I hope. It is okay, I said finally. Can we try again? Therapy, a fresh start. I will sign whatever you want. I will return every penny. Just give me a chance. I was out of my mind. We all make mistakes. No, Mariana, I interrupted calmly. It was not a mistake. It was a plan executed for 8 months while you stole from me and lied to me every day. I know it looks bad. It does not just look bad, it is bad. You are a person who did terrible things to someone who loved her. The crying intensified. I have nothing. My parents hate me. I cannot find a job. I do not have a penny. My car is going to be repossessed next week. No one wants to talk to me. That is called facing the consequences. What am I supposed to do now? Figure it out. You are an adult. You cannot expect me to rescue you. You cannot just leave me like this. I am falling apart. You left this marriage when you started sleeping with Mauricio. Everything that came after is your business. I was about to hang up when she tried what she surely considered her last card. I am pregnant. There was a long silence. Congratulations. It is Mauricio's. I do not know. It could be yours. No, it cannot be. We have not had relations for 4 months, and during that entire time, you were on birth control. Try again. She started to cry harder. Okay, it is probably Mauricio's. But he is not answering me, and his mother hung up on me when I tried to talk to him. Still not my problem. How can you be so cold? We were married. We loved each other. You loved my bank account. I fell in love with someone who was never real. I hung up. 2 days later, Patricia called me. The same woman who spent 3 years telling everyone that I was not good enough for her beloved daughter. You have to help Mariana, she said without even a greeting. Is she your wife? No, she is Mauricio's wife. That union does not count. She was not in her right mind. Tell that to the state of New Jersey. They consider that marriage valid. She is still part of your family. You made vows. She broke them when she decided to cheat on me repeatedly. For months. We all make mistakes. You are obligated to forgive. Some mistakes cannot be undone. She is pregnant, scared, and has nowhere to go. Let her stay with Mauricio. He is the father. Mauricio is not answering her. His family wants nothing to do with her. Sounds like a pattern, does it not? What kind of man abandons a pregnant woman? Ask Mauricio and get a paternity test. You are cruel. No, I am realistic. Your daughter made her choices. Now she has to live with them. Patricia started screaming, called me insensitive and selfish, and threatened to tell everyone who I am. Actually, I reminded her, everyone already knows perfectly well who Mariana is, and I hung up again. But the best part came last week. Mauricio called me. Yes, he had the nerve to do it. Hey, I know things got weird between us. You slept with my wife. That is not weird, it is betrayal. Look, Mariana stayed at my place, but the truth is, she is too intense and very dramatic. And you are telling me this why? My mom thinks you should consider forgiving her. Your mom should mind her own business. She is threatening me with lawsuits for child support, emotional damages, a bunch of absurd things. Can you talk to her, calm her down maybe? Not my problem. I am not part of that circus. Come on, man between us. She is still your wife. She is your wife. You married her. It was a mistake. Well, let it cost you as such. I cannot take care of a baby now. I can barely make ends meet. And you thought you could steal everything I built by taking my wife from me. It was not like that. It was exactly like that. And now you have to pay for the life you chose. She is completely out of her mind. She expects me to take care of everything while she cries all day. That story sounds familiar to me. I cannot handle this. I am not made for this responsibility. You should have thought of that before you got involved with a married woman. I hung up too. Yesterday, I received a Facebook message from Amanda, her sister. My sister is having a mental breakdown because of you. She does not eat, does not sleep, cries all the time, and is talking about hurting herself. She made a mistake, and you are completely destroying her life. I replied, she made 184 mistakes, one for each day she cheated on me. And if she is threatening to hurt herself, call a professional. I am not responsible for the consequences of her actions. Then I blocked her too. Today, as I write this, I am sitting in my fully paid-off house. I earn well, enjoy my job, and am dating an incredible woman named Sarah. She thinks this whole story is as absurd as it is revealing. Sometimes she brings me coffee at work in a cup that says, "From a loyal wife," as a joke. She is a nurse, has her own income, pays her bills, and has never asked me to support her. We share expenses, and she even argues with me if I try to cover too much because she believes in independence and equality. Imagine that. Meanwhile, Mariana, at 29, is unemployed, living in her old room with unicorn wallpaper, pregnant with a man who does not even answer the phone. Mauricio, 36, lives with his parents, works a dead-end job, and is learning that taking another man's wife also has a price. They have both contacted me several times, begging me to help them sort out the messes they themselves created. Somehow, they sincerely believe they owe me something after how they destroyed my life. The audacity is stunning. Sometimes the trash really does take itself out, and other times, karma does exactly what it is supposed to do. If I regret anything about all this, it is not having seen the signs earlier, like when Mariana told me her ex was controlling for asking her to share expenses or pay her share of dinner once in a while. That was the first indication that I was dating someone who saw relationships as financial agreements, not as real partnerships. But I guess everything happens for a reason, and I am grateful this happened before we had children, or I wasted more years with someone who only saw me as a credit card with legs. Thank you for reading this testament. Mariana, I know you are probably reading this because you cannot live without social media and you have nothing else to do anymore. Your mother called mine last week asking if there was a possibility of me getting back with you for the sake of the baby. My answer is the same as always. No, and it always will be. You dug this grave when you decided to sleep with Mauricio for half a year while spending my money. Now you have to sleep in it, alone, surrounded by unicorn posters. And Mauricio, if you are reading this too, thank you for taking out my trash. Enjoy paying child support on your salesperson's salary while living in your parents' basement. I hope it was worth destroying our lives for her. To those who ask me if this is true, I do not need to convince anyone. The facts stand on their own. There is plenty of proof, but I no longer have any interest in explaining anything further. And about forgiveness, I am not one to tell others what to do with their pain. But in my case, learning to say enough was more healing than any act of misplaced compassion. Some people do not change. Some wounds only heal when you close the door completely. Today, I do not seek revenge. I do not care if Mariana understands what she did or if Mauricio regrets it. What I truly value is that I finally feel at peace. No one yells at me. No one lies to me. No one manipulates me. I wake up every morning in a quiet home, next to someone who respects me and stands by me unconditionally. And if I learned anything from all this, it is that it is never too late to get out of a storm. Sometimes the bravest thing one can do is not to stay and fight, but to turn around and start over, wiser, stronger, and much freer. The past no longer defines me.